So Joe, we're ready.
Yep.
So call to order and roll call.
All right. Dr. Decker. Alfred.
Here.
Mack.
Here.
Mesco.
Here.
Northern.
Here.
Parkinson.
So we have a quorum and we can move on to the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And do we have any public comments this evening?
And just for the record, Chris Bobek is participating via the phone from a meeting in Peoria.
Hi, everyone.
And then it says we have a presentation.
Yes, we've got to approve the agenda first.
Oh. We need to approve the agenda.
All right.
I move. Second.
Any questions, comments?
Mesco.
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
Northern.
Aye.
Alfred.
Aye. Now, do we have any public comments? I'm gonna go forward to alphabet.
It's non-signed up at this time. Chairperson.
Yep, I'll get you going.
That just turned on.
Oh, did I turn the wrong thing on? Well, Jill, as this is being your last night, we wanted to take an opportunity to celebrate some of the accomplishments that we've had over the last 4 years. 4 years ago, you, Rob Roop, Stephen Straff, and Jim Weedman joined the board, and then followed by Kathleen, David, and Tom, and Stephen. And one of the changes that we've seen is that there's been a major focus on our students, which is where we should have the focus. And you've looked at things financially, looked at our facilities, and of course, the education. So tonight, as we say goodbye to you and thank you for all you've done, we're going to take a little time to do something that we don't normally do, is look at some of these accomplishments over the last 4 years. And there's many more, but a little look. So we've become one district, one direction. One of our issues has always been we've had 7 buildings and 7 little fiefdoms, and we have really been focusing on one district and one direction, and you have been instrumental in helping us with that. Got my pages and my little sticker all going here at the same time. The 2015 strategic plan really wanted to have air conditioning as a priority, and while you have all been board members, we air conditioned the last 2 buildings, Meadowview and Woodview, making it really an equitable situation for all students in the district, having air conditioning. We've also added, and you've approved, some new staff members. Paul, James Goshi, and Stephanie, who have all been extremely valuable to our district and really helped get us on the right track. Both Paul and Stephanie have done amazing things this year within the curriculum and with our EL students. And I know, Jill, you have supported a lot of collaboration with other agencies and the foundation. We have spent a lot of time with the foundation and with the library, the art show, and now we're going to be continuing at least quarterly some collaboration with the library and the school district, and we're really looking forward to that. we're moving through our curriculum and our PDTs and our PLCs and all those other letters towards district-wide consistency. And I think this is going to be the key to our success. We've also had a balanced budget, Mr. Bobeck. We had to add that in there. I'm sure he's thinking, I'm not sure how long that's going to be there. But the board has made sound financial decisions in the face of a lot of uncertainty. The board's also supported professional development, which has been extremely important, especially this year as we've really gotten into a lot of the curriculum areas. The board supported instructional coaches. And I have to say that this is probably one of the best decisions we've made. These instructional coaches are getting into the classrooms. They're sitting in on the PLCs. They're modeling good teaching strategies. And there have been, the teachers are opening their classrooms and really working hard with them. So I'm very pleased with that, and so I appreciate the board approving that. And the board has approved the late exit model. As we all know, the EL students have been underperforming, and I think with this late exit model, I think we'll be able to address that gap. And we've kept our community connections, and we're going to talk about that later tonight, but we are doing articulation with the high schools. We have our project with Advocate, the foundation, obviously, the Sprouts, the Public Library, Destination Imagination, Lake County Forest Preserve with Meadowview, Science Olympiad. There's so many things that we're doing, and we're always seeking some more. We also have a great staff, and there's staff recommend other staff nominate their peers, and every week we have a lot of peers that are recognized on the way to go. Leslie takes pictures, they get to have them on the website, and so a lot of the things that we've been able to do is not only from the support from the board, but the fantastic staff we have. We also have been on the journey of the professional learning communities. It's great to watch teachers talking to other teachers from across the district. So no longer is Meadowview doing their own thing, Prairie View, Woodview, they're talking to each other, they're learning from each other, finding new strategies, and if they find something that's not working, they find ways to make it work, and they look at data. Again, this is from the support of the board. My pages are sticking here. You also approved some of the general state aid money to go to the makerspaces. And as you can see, we've got lots more pictures that we couldn't all put out here, but it's some of the pre-engineering skills that are so important. It's the kids actually doing hands-on things in science and engineering. It's fantastic to watch. And we didn't spend that much money, but they are really doing a lot of things there. And you approved the late start days, and that allows staff members to collaborate throughout the district. And it's been a success. And we've had the planning and design teams. Many of them have come to the board and given us some recommendations. And they're in all curriculum areas, the fine arts, the physical education, things that we've never really looked at, and with all the staff we've been able to do this year, again, with your support. And we've also looked at diversity. I am so pleased that the district embraces diversity. We're, I think, getting ready to look at some action steps, and it's such an honor to see where we're headed in that direction. And Jill, this is one of the areas that you have been instrumental in is the public relations. You and David and Leslie and I have met many times looking at how we could improve, and we're going to continue to look at how we could improve, but we've had the board briefs that Leslie does so well. We've had several awards. Leslie has received several awards. Had brochures go out. We're participated in the parades. So there's a lot of areas there, and again, with from help from both you and David on this. So thank you for all you have done, Jill. We hope we continue to work together, And we do have a token of appreciation for you. And we would also like to take just a little break and have some cake. You sure can. Yes, that'd be great. Oh. You were like in the spotlight there.
Thank you, Ellen. Some of this is a little bit of duplication, so I'll try to edit. But I did want to say it's been a privilege to work and serve alongside everybody, in particular to Jim, Stephen, and Rob over the last 4 years. Because of the work that we did, the board is better than when we arrived. And even though we haven't always agreed, we have always treated each other respectfully. And I think we've conducted ourselves in a way that is an example for all of the children in the district, so I'm very proud of that. Personally, I'm proud of the work with the PR and communications that you have already mentioned, Ellen. Leslie, wow. We knew this was going to be good, but just thank you for all that you've done. You've taken it over the top of what our expectations were in doing that, and really strengthening the way that the community can interact with the district. For partnerships, I know that we are off, as you mentioned, we're off to a good start. I'm particularly proud of the work we've done with the library. And I know it's just going to continue from there. And to the new and the remaining members, I know you will continue to use a lot of care and concern with decisions that you make. And I wish you the best going forward. And then lastly, I do really want to say to everybody who works and serves in District 46, whether you work in the district office, or you drive a bus, or you keep our buildings safe and clean, if you manage one of the schools, if you volunteer, if you guide and teach in the classroom, you'll never be recognized or compensated enough for all that you do, because you change lives every day. So I did want to thank you all for that. Reports? Anybody have any board reports?
Last week, I think it was, we had a concert here at Park. Was it last week? I can't remember it running together. Yeah. It was amazing. Grays Lake Central came together with Park campus and put on a concert for the community. It was a host of graduates from Park's band and choir. It was just a really good event to be a part of. I'm gonna tell you one thing. Grace Lake Central has some amazing singers in their choir. Their choir did such an amazing job. A few of the songs, I started looking it up on my phone, saving them, sending it to my pastor, saying, "Hey, we should sing this in church with the kids." So it was an amazing opportunity to see our young people and our band teachers and our choir teachers in that kind of setting. It was amazing.
Similarly, I got a chance to attend the kindergarten, first and second grade concert at Woodview, which was really, really nice. A lot of good work and amazing what the music teachers do with such a large number of students that I can't even imagine how you get them all the same song at the same time. It's pretty extraordinary. And of course, David and I were at the teacher appreciation event this week, which was really, really nice event at Sioux. Another fantastic event. Great to celebrate the teachers and everybody who served over so many years and the retirees. It was my first event to go to, and just really special to see some of the teachers that I've known over the years with Isabella and others who've served so long. So thanks for having us there.
One of the things I didn't realize, Science Olympiad was our last meeting. The contest is this weekend. But there are people that have to deal with a Crystal Lake band concert or contest in the afternoon. So then they'll drive down after that, and then there's another one that has a certain musical thing where they perform at 7 or 8 o'clock, and the parents will drive the kid down to Springfield and get there about midnight. It just points out all the many and sundry things our kids could do and stretch and go as far as they want to go. It's really, really neat to see.
Oops. This week is Administrative Assistant Appreciation Week, and of course we're always appreciating Sue and all the great work she does for the board and our district. We couldn't do it without her, so congratulations, Sue. And then next week is Teacher Appreciation Week. Got a lot of appreciation going on here. And then just wanted to let you know we are continuing our articulation with the high school. And this week we did some with on algebra and with our social sciences. So we're continuing that process, which is great, so that we know that we're getting ready for the high school. So good stuff happening.
So now we'll move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion to approve our consent agenda.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
Northern,
Aye.
Parkinson,
Aye.
Alfrey,
Aye.
Meskel,
Aye.
Mack.
Aye.
So moving on to our action items. Can I get a motion to approve the addition of one full-time special ed teacher at Park Campus?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Do you want to add anything, explain what this is?
Well, this is to meet the needs of, the growing needs of the special ed population here at Park. And last year, we were able to take part of a EL teacher who was also certified in special ed, so that she was doing part-time special ed and part-time EL. But we really need to have a full-time person, so this will help the students here at Park.
Meskel,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Parkinson,
Aye.
Northern,
Aye.
Alfrey.
Aye. Our next motion is to approve the purchase of RAM for the iMac computers at a cost of $14,372.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
It saves us buying a lot of new computers.
Yes, it does. Mhm.
Alfrey,
Aye.
Meskel,
Aye.
Northern,
Aye.
Knapp,
Aye.
Parkinson.
Aye.
The next motion is to approve the honorable dismissal of 2 PSRP full-time positions.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Mack,
Aye.
Alfrey,
Aye.
Northern,
Aye.
Parkinson,
Aye.
Meskel.
Aye.
Next is a motion to approve the 2017-18 medical and dental premiums and HSA.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions or comments?
I have a comment. I just want the district and our staff here at District 46, the community and the staff here at District 46, I just want them to know the board, along with the administrative staff, look very carefully at all these areas and have to make the best decisions possible based on the funding conditions that we're under. So I know that some of the staff looked at possible increases, but I just want to let them know that we did consider everything, but based on the current financial situation and our uncertainty of when funding will be coming from the state at times, we have to go with this decision.
Anybody else?
Mack,
Aye.
Northern,
Aye.
Alfrey,
Aye.
Parkinson,
Aye.
Meskel.
Aye.
Now we move on to unfinished business, discussion regarding the next steps for advocates, sprouts, and community agency collaborations.
Sue, does everybody have the? Everybody's pointing to somebody else here.
So, I know this is on this route. I don't know why this Sprouts logo is.
I think it's just because we're going to talk about Sprouts, but it doesn't need to be on the Sprouts logo, right?
Right. I just didn't want to mislead people. I would say, if you had a chance to read through this, this is about starting a community partnership committee. And I would say our work with Sprouts was a catalyst for this because the leadership within Sprouts, they really have acted as community organizers for the benefit of our district. And so as a catalyst, Stephen and I and Ellen sat and talked about the formation of this committee. So should I read through it or?
Sure, I think.
Okay,
that
so it was Stephen's idea to have the resolution establishing this community partnership committee in which community organizations will collaborate. So this is for all community organizations, and we felt that given our new goals that are coming out and strategic planning that will ensue, we would like for the work that we do with community organizations to be aligned with our goals and strategic planning. So we invite Community Consolidated 46 school board members, school and district leadership, teachers, families, and community members to join this partnership committee to have a voice in the committee that is collaborating with different organizations in the community. We resolved that CCSD46 school board and administration honor, support, and encourage the work of our community partners. We encourage community organizations to collaborate with this committee. And specific to this resolution, we highly regard the work of Mary Cleese, Abby Petrozinski, Jessica Albert, and all the volunteers of D46, including the administrators at the schools, teachers, families that have volunteered, anyone that's been touching the Sprouts work. We just want to let them know how much we appreciate the work that we've done, and we encourage the D46 Sprouts
group to collaborate with this community partnership committee in future project planning and possible funding opportunities to grow, enhance, and spread the D46 Sprouts program for the benefit of community consolidated 46 school communities. So I think we can all agree that we appreciate the work that this group has done, and in order to try to expand some of these concepts that they'd like to bring to the district, we are proposing that, you know, we encourage them to work with this committee and collaborate for future planning, again, aligned with our goals and our strategic planning for the district, for the benefit of staff, students, well, students first really, and families and the school communities at large.
And this flows from the number of conversations that we've had at a couple of board meetings, including the last one with the presentation by Dr. Belmonte. You know, CHAMP was the initial acronym that came up a while ago, and it evolved to something like this between some of the conversations that Kathleen and Ellen and I have had to not only encompass a lot of what Dr. Belmonte had talked about at the last meeting and what we had talked about at the last meeting, but to capture this idea that a community partnership committee is best served with the ideas of all the stakeholders in the community. And I know that a number of them have been seeking that to be part of the board, a little bit of the voice behind it. And we chose to honor District 46 in that way at the end of the resolution, simply because, as Kathleen had said, that was the catalyst for that. So this, again, it doesn't only just include Sprouts, it includes any potential community partnership that is out there, including, obviously, Advocate's one of the big ones, Sprouts is another big one, but anything that comes down the pike for the district, that would be a beneficial community partnership. And we can establish some norms,
Right.
some parameters, some protocols for dealing with these community partnerships so that there's a common process for how we move these things forward to avoid frustration or to avoid delay or to avoid miscommunication. And so that's what I wanted to add to that.
So what we would do would be the next board meeting, we would have it on an action item. Basically, though, it would be those 4 items on there, and we can discuss it obviously too again.
Well, this morning when I saw what you had created, the order was not as it is right now. And the mindset I have right now is a very good one, because it's an all-encompassing idea, rather than just dealing with one idea. And lots of times people in the community will say, well, I've got this idea, I've got that idea, but they don't know what to do with it. And you can go to the board meeting and have the audience to visitors, and you can say something, but you still don't know what to do with it. This gives them an avenue by which they could say, I've got this idea, well, what can I do next? And we could give them some guidance, saying, well, if I think it's a good idea, it would be helpful if we knew these things about it. How many people are involved, are really interested in it? What do you think we should do? And if there's some misinformation out there, it's a good place to stop it, or to alter it. And everybody wins, I think, with something like this. I like the idea.
I have a question, is who's going to work on the procedures and the meat of this, the details?
Well, I volunteered from the beginning to be one of the board liaisons to a committee of this nature, so I would put myself in that place and depending on anybody else's availability to do so.
Obviously me.
Right.
And me,
Right.
so we're the committee.
But again, and we also discussed too, not creating something that's going to overburden an already busy district, busy teachers, busy board members, and community. But in piggybacking off of what Tom just said as well, giving a little clarity from the board as to what we see as a way to work with these different partner committees, partner organizations. And there could be a lot, and Advocate could open up a whole number of avenues for sure. And Sprouts has been extremely successful in being one of those community organizing activist organizations.
Well, they brought Advocate.
And they brought Advocate in, right? So you you know, you have a need to, we felt compelled to acknowledge that too. But, in answer to your question, I would like to be part of that.
Yeah.
A little long-winded at times.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we invite other people from our board to join. I think, well, it's nice that you're on the diversity committee, because I think a lot of this came.
So I think it'll fit a
Go
lot.
online.
Yep, very much so.
And I guess part of my question, just for clarification for people watching or listening, is that the board is going to establish the protocol and the policies, is what I'm hearing, and then from there, others will be invited to the committee?
In partnership with the
Right.
superintendent. Yeah.
I'm sorry, and staff, but as
Yeah.
opposed to,
Right, the committees, the community wouldn't develop the parameters.
That's what I'm-
Yes,
okay.
I think that's what you're headed.
With,
Yeah.
right, and part of that is setting up, you know, how are we going to respect community voices? And again, that goes with diversity, and that's where I
Very
hope
much
to
so.
have more cross-learning between our different committees.
So is the board in agreement that I would add this to the agenda for the next time? And we can bring Stephen and Jim up to date. And Jason's here, so he'll
Yeah.
know, he'll already have that information.
It's one of these things that grows and develops as we think. It's a great idea.
Okay, and then next we have update on requests we have for math specialists and PE.
So at the last meeting, I believe you asked Jill some of a little bit more information about the request for the .5 math specialists at Frederick and the 1.0 math specialists at Park. And I gave you a little background, and Eric is here tonight. So Eric, if you don't mind, could you explain a little bit about your request? I didn't tell you I was going to put you on.
No.
But you're
I just
always
came-
good
I
at
just came
this.
for the cake, so Good, Joe? All right. So this year we added a math specialist, and we found just how much it's helped us reach the students that we were struggling with. We keep looking at our park scores. What can we do? How can we change some things? And one of the pieces is always how can we get into the classroom. So we've used the current one to teach some of the advanced math, but also get into either classrooms, do some coaching. Works closely with Laura Golden, who's our instructional coach, and then also to teach some of our some classes on with our intervention period that we have. But we're still not able to get to every section with that. So by adding a .5, we think we can pick up enough. It was something that has gone through, when we talk about budget and money, and I thought .5 might be kind of a compromise from hiring a full-time person, but still being able to do what we need to do.
You think you could find a .5 person?
That's what the next step. I did have a teacher who was interested in it, so I've got a, if it gets approved, I'll go back to that to start with. We'll post it obviously and see what's out there. So.
Are you talking to us, Chris?
He heard money.
Oh, okay, so it's the feedback. No problem.
Wait, but right now, is there such a person doing this at that building now?
Yes, he's got a
Okay.
1.0 now
All right,
and is requesting an additional .5.
.5, okay, I get it now.
And Park does not have one at all. So GMS has a 1.0, Frederick has a 1.0, Park has no .0s. So
Is that because there's no request, or?
there was a request. We have an additional, or we have a
Okay.
request from Park for a
Matt
1.0.
and David didn't show up, so I get to speak.
Yeah.
The total request is for 1.5.
Right.
I have a question related to funding, since this will create a funding situation. Did we receive our state categorical funding?
Have
for the
we
first-
received
Have
it?
we received it yet?
No, Chris, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you tell the board or bring the board up to date on the categorical funding?
Actually, we may have received our first payment. That's the what the word is going around here that they actually have released or are going to release that first payment before the end of this week. Now, that just makes one payment out of 4 that we're supposed to receive, so we would still be $2.7 million in the hole. There's not much faith that they're going to release more than one payment this school year, one additional payment this school year. So we're in a fairly difficult situation right now.
Thanks a lot for that, Chris. As you know, we continually encourage our community members, along with the board members in the various school districts in our community, to talk to our legislators about this. I had heard that it was coming down the line, doing some of that work, trying to reach out to the legislators related to it. So I just want to make sure that that we encourage the community that's watching, along with the other board members, to continually reach out so we can make some differences in the funding that we receive. And when it comes to adding needed staff, it wouldn't be a question because we'll have the funding that's needed for it.
And Chris, I know what your answer is already, but could you tell the board where you are with respect to the additional staff?
The biggest thing about additional staff, and I know how much everybody would like to add staff, including myself. The issue is if we add staff and we spend more money in the present, that's going to take away from if we don't get any funding from the state, what's going to happen if there's a property tax freeze. Not only will we have to make a cut of that staff member, we'll probably have to cut additional, I would have to say, staff somewhere in order to make up for the losses that we would be just based on having additional staff members now.
Is it possible, we have no idea when we're going to have a final answer from the state, correct?
The way things are going, we're not going to have a final answer anytime soon. So we're in a kind of a wait and see pattern. We're just, the uncertainty that we're experiencing is just unprecedented. So that's why I'm trying to hold off on spending any money that further down the road could help us out in a tough financial situation.
So I think for the purposes of this conversation, we should split these into 2 categories, talk about the math specialists and then the PE. And then I have a question in regards to the math specialists. How does this fall into place as far as RIFs and other options if funding falls short of where we project it to be?
We've gone past the timing for RIFs for this year, so if there were any additional RIFs, it would have to be next year.
How do specialists fall into the categories, I guess is what I'm wondering, compared to, is it right along with teaching?
It's a higher date.
Okay,
You're a certified teacher, right?
okay, so it's the same.
Yeah. Well, it's a dilemma. I totally.
Can I make one more suggestion? That if we can do if we can get together some boilerplate information that our board can maybe send us I'm making a recommendation that maybe our board send it to our legislators, a joint effort to say, hey, this is our current situation and this is what we need.
And we do have one, and when Chris returns, Mundaline sent one out recently. And,
I know we're working with CDOL. CDOL's
yeah.
trying to get one.
So
also.
we're all working together.
Thank you. And maybe some information can be available for the community where they can
Yes.
utilize it to send it to show that they're watching and they're seeing the effects directly to the school districts and the kids that we serve.
And I saw there was information in regards to the PE, the financial information in regards to the PE positions, but from 1.5 math specialists, are we looking at like 75,000?
Yes.
I'm going to throw this in there since it's my last meeting. I think these are the math specialist positions are very important. Tom, I think you can speak to what happens to kids if they fall behind the curve in terms of math. And I think that we've made a commitment as a board to meet kids where they're at and to really work with kids at all different levels. And this is this type of position meets that need. So I would recommend moving forward with it.
Well, we're in a position where I really can't not do anything, you know, that's the situation. It just has to be done.
I'll support it also.
So you're in favor of putting it on as an action item next time?
Yeah, right.
And then you can vote however you feel is
Okay.
necessary.
I have some curricular thoughts about what that person does, you know, diagnostic
Sure.
and all those kinds of things. I can write those up, and that might be something for the next curriculum committee meeting.
Okay.
But,
What's our next one?
I don't know, I'll have to-
Not for another month.
but anyway, to the people in the audience here, it's a situation here where we were expecting some money, and because of the troubles with the legislature, we don't have the money. And so what do we do? Because we can't, school starts at a certain time, and we have to make a move, so.
Next one is May 24th.
Okay.
So the other positions we were talking about was adding 2 days of PE to the K-4. That is an unfunded mandate. While I totally support physical education and movement, until we get funding from the state, I don't feel we should move forward with that. Not only that, it also takes away from our curricular things that we're doing. I would love, again, to have that, but I just don't feel we can do that when we're not being funded for it.
What's the, you know, it's an unfunded mandate, you know, from my world of housing, unfunded mandates mean you're gonna do it or you get punished. So what's our punishment for not doing it?
We would probably get our hands slapped and say, you need to add PE, and we would do it the next year.
Interestingly, we just had our audit,
Mhm.
and it didn't come up.
Yes, it did not, they knew that we didn't, I mean, it was clearly written that we did not have it. There were 3 items on our audit, and 2 of them were that we didn't have the park testing sheet in a student folder, and the other was a physical that one of the staff members did not have on time. That was the extent of the response.
May I mock some call?
Yes. So am I hearing support for not adding the 2.0 FTE for PE
I think we should have it on the agenda.
agenda, and then you can vote?
Yes, let us
That's
make a
a
decision.
good
That's right.
way.
I have,
agree.
I have another question about it. So how many minutes are they mandating extra? I mean, how many?
It's times, 5 times per week. There's nothing that includes minutes. So I had the principals look at, 20-minute periods. Whatever it does, it's going to break up your day.
Right. I would love to see the school lunch period extended 10 minutes daily. And then if kids finish early, they have time to run around. I feel like my kids don't even have enough time to eat already. I would love for us to be able to look at something like that.
We did look at that, and the 10 minutes was used, that 10 minutes in some of the buildings are used for the RTI interventions, but we can continue to look at that, and I can continue to work at, maybe not for next year, but certainly look throughout the year.
I just want to explain my reasoning for having it on the agenda for next month, because it is a mandate by the state. As a board, we should take a clear look at it and make an educated decision whether we can move forward with having evidence of reasoning why. And by having it on the board, we can vote accordingly. I mean, having it on the agenda, we can vote accordingly with the backup. So if anybody questioned why we didn't do it, this is why we didn't do it.
And I'd like to know why we can't extend it by 10 minutes during lunch period, specifically.
Extend lunch 10 minutes?
Extend lunch 10 minutes so that they have recess time for 10 minutes after lunch.
All right, I'll get that answer for you.
I agree with David, we should meet it face on, head on, and then make a decision one way or the other.
Well, if
Not
they're
just
not
sweep
giving
it
it-
under the rug,
If they're not giving an exact time mandate, then
Well, the problem
seems
is-
like we have flexibility.
And I wish David or Matt were here, because for 10 minutes, for having a 20-minute gym period here at Park, and you're, clear at the end of this hall,
Mhm.
you're gonna add, it's really gonna be a 30-minute or 35-minute by the time you walk from here all the way down to the gym, which is clear the end of the other building, or the end of this building, and come back. So you're really extending it more.
What I'm saying is not even PE time. I guess it's just recess time. It's movement time. That's all.
Okay?
so it's not necessarily structured PE. But, I mean, with PE, there are so many other goals now built in.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe we can be creative in the way that we attack, not attack, but approach wellness. And again, I don't know. I feel like we could be creative. I don't want to shut it down and just say we can't do it if they're not giving us a time mandate anyway.
What you're talking about though is almost, it's a third agenda item. It's separate than the.
Right.
Well, what I'm saying is maybe you can call whatever it is a component of PE because PE has so many different goals associated with it. So I'm not familiar with the new goals. You are.
I don't believe that just the movement would work, Amanda, do you, under the new PE standards? It's more fitness and.
Fitness-based and setting personal fitness goals for yourself.
We'll share the new standard, the PE standards, they're amazing, but we can share that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, moving on to new business. Discussion of major impact purchase for GMS for 35 Chromebooks at a cost of $9,065.
And Chris, let me know if I'm wrong, but this is coming out of Marcus's budget, right?
Yeah.
In the background, it talked about how these Chromebooks will be used for the testing, along with, some classroom work and
Yes.
additional stuff.
Are there any other questions or comments? That'll be on the agenda for next time to vote. We're moving on to discussion of extending contract with the district auditors.
Chris, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sorry.
Eating pizza?
No, I'm going back and forth between hearing it through the computer versus on my phone because I'm having too much difficulty on the phone and muting. And so, on to the auditors. Our contract was up at the end of the last audit, the 15-16 audit. My preference, knowing the changes that have happened in the business office, the familiarity with that our current firm has with the district, that I would anticipate there being, if we were to change auditing firms, there being a slight delay. It might actually take a little bit longer. And the fact that this auditing firm that we do have is leaps and bounds better than the one that we had prior to this, and they've done a fantastic job for us so far. My recommendation would be to continue on with the auditing firm. Now, they've given us 3 options. We've discussed it back and forth. There was a 1-year, a 3-year, and a 5-year. Knowing this firm, knowing what they've done, I have no problems actually supporting a 5-year contract with them. They have been great for us. And also, as an added bonus, when you sign the 5-year contract, what you're going to wind up getting is some savings. So we wind up saving about $3,500 over that 5-year span. Knowing our fiscal situation right now, I'm all for savings. So, based on what I have here, at minimum, I would say a 3-year contract with them. But like I said, I'd fully support a 5-year contract.
Question, within the auditor's contract, for example, if we decide as a board to go with a 3-year contract, if in year 1 we end up being unsatisfied with the auditor, is it a clause that we can terminate on notice of so many days or anything?
In the contract as it's written, there is no clause. That's something that I could probably have them put in there. This is a fairly boilerplate contract. I wouldn't anticipate anything like that. Like I said, we've had them for 5 years now. They've turned out to be much, much better than our prior firm. They do their due diligence, and they don't let the people get stale. They don't have one person there and just say you're going to be the auditor for this school district for the next 10 years. They switch people in and out, so you get fresh eyes on them or on our financials.
I'm pretty sure they're quality firm. They certified and from your recommendations, I totally feel that. I just want to make sure that if something does happen, that the district is not locked in without having a way out, if possible.
All right, I couldn't really hear that. Was that?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I appreciate your, your recommendation, and I totally support it. I just want to ensure that the district, if something was to happen, I'll be more comfortable extending it, for a number of years, even the 5-year time, where we can save more money if we're able to have a out, if possible, if needed.
I will tell you what, it actually just so happens that as part of this conference that I'm at right now, this company has a booth, and I can walk down and discuss that with them tomorrow and see what the feelings are. And I can come back to you at the next board meeting and see what their response was.
Thank you.
Yeah, I support that thought. You have a 5-year contract. That's a long time with no relief valve possible.
5 years is a long time, but 5 years is going to get you the most savings. I know I've repeated this several times, but we're in that financial situation where we're looking to save as much money as humanly possible that's not on staffing. And if it's on just different services like auditors or waste management or something like that, it's going to be small savings, but it's going to be something. And it might prevent us down the road from actually having to get rid of a staff member.
Anything else? All right, so then moving on to the first reading of policies. First policy is board member travel and expense 2125.
Were there any questions when you looked over? The purpose of this was that there were some districts, some boards that took advantage of money given to them to go to conferences, whatever, and the reason these parameters were put into place is to make sure that we're transparent, that your expenses are within given parameters, and I know none of you would ever do that, but there were some boards in the state that did it, and that's what caused this policy to be written. So the policy committee has spent quite a bit of time looking at this, and this is their recommendation. We also compared other districts and what direction they were headed. So,
And I was going to add for new members, we did spend a lot of time on this, this and then the staff policy. This is a lot of our own language as
Yes.
opposed to the standard forms that sometimes we get from the IASB. So
I took what what we've already done in the district and then just made sure that we addressed all of the required new language in there.
An interesting comment about the boards and whatever. Amy Schreiber, for the second year now, has had me speak to her class at CLC. And it's a course in public management or government, whatever. So she wanted me to talk about school boards. So I went out there and did it for the second time I've done this now. And of course I went through the FOIA and the OMA and all the things of that nature and make sure we understood it. And I actually gave me the agenda for tonight and went down through it and explained to them how some of the things, if you're attending the meeting, it may seem like we're rubber stamping, but we've already done our homework on this and in spades. And the question and answer session, it became very obvious to me that these kids believed that we got paid for this.
Yeah.
And handsomely. And so the guy said, wait a minute, how much do you get paid for that? Zilch. Come on, no, how much do you get paid for this? There is no salary affiliated with this. I said, there is a state meeting in Chicago that so far they'll pay our registration and they'll pay us where we sleep, et cetera. But we buy our own meals because we got to eat anyway. And they were just amazed, absolutely amazed. But anyway, that's what we're talking about. Okay.
I talked to some kids, and it was funny because I was talking to some kids on the way to Springfield. The House Authority took some kids to Springfield, and we were talking about the same thing with school boards, and I was explaining it to them, and they was like, "Well, how much you make for it?" And I was like, "We don't make anything." So the kid said,
Yeah.
"So actually, you get double taxed in because you paying taxes plus you working and not getting paid." I was like, "Well, I don't know if it's double tax. It's something that we choose to do." So, yeah.
Any other comments or questions about this particular one? Okay. So we'll move on to the out-of-district travel and meal reimbursement form.
Yeah, so Chris reviewed all the forms, and so approved which ones we're going to use. They're not that much different than what we currently have, but we are following the state requirements.
And then moving on to the uniform grievance procedure, policy 2260.
Right, and the only change here is we wanted to make sure that the complaint managers reflected who's really working here. And Mr. Detweiler, you're still unfortunately on that list, but we replaced Craig here with Paul Lewis. So there's 3 of us, myself, Eric, and Paul. I know that Eric really, really would like to be off of that.
And then moving on to the district staff expenses, policy 560.
Right, and so this follows the same format as the board member. Both that and then 5:60 are the actual procedure. So it's the same format, just for staff members rather than board members.
Any comments or questions? Move on to topics for future agenda items.
I don't think we got too many. No, so approval of the creation of the community partnership board committee, approval of the 1.5 FTE math specialist, which is 0.5 at Frederick, 1.0 at Park, adding 2.0 FTE physical education for daily PE at K4, approval of major impact item for purchase for GMS 35 Chromebooks, approval of extending the contract with the district auditors. Now, my question is, do we want to put 5 or 3 years on there?
I think we should,
We can just have it back as a conversation.
yeah, I think we should put, we can keep them all on there, and then we can determine, can we have them all on there and determine which one we want at that time?
What Chris is suggesting, just putting, instead of approval, have another further discussion about this when Chris is here.
Okay, that's fine.
So we'll make that discussion. We will have a presentation at the next meeting for a gentleman regarding the potential of looking at solar panels. And Stephen Strack had asked us to have a discussion about board governance.
Okay. And getting back to the PE, what I was proposing would hit goal number 24 in communications and decision-making.
Would hit goal 24?
Yeah, communications and decision-making goal, and the Illinois PE standards.
Okay.
So that's why I was crossing them, because I kind of knew that they were linking.
And I was just suggesting a separate agenda item, just so that
Right.
if the PE gets turned down, your idea doesn't get lost without that being
We'll have a
considered.
we'll have a separate item for that.
True.
But if you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, then, great.
I think that's pretty full agenda, but if there's any others,
Anything else?
At the curriculum committee meeting this morning, I was talking to Ellen about what goes on in the summer school around here, and there was an awful lot of stuff that we do. Maybe you can just give us a Cliff's Notes
Yes.
version, not a big presentation.
no,
but
yeah, okay.
The public should know, it's pretty phenomenal.
Thanks for reminding me, I had it
Okay.
listed and then
It's going to be a long meeting.
All right, any public comments? Move on to adjournment, motion?
I second.
Alfrey,
Aye.
Parkinson,
Aye.
Meskel,
Aye.
Mack,
Aye.
Northern.
All right.
That's most of your C, D, or whatever.
Yeah, this is a recognition. Thanks, Chris.